Tom Harper's hands froze on the Mustang's hood, its faded red paint a ghost from his past. One touch, and he's back racing down Route 12. Clara's laugh in the wind. What's this car about to unleash? The garage smelled like oil and steel, the kind of scent that sticks to your skin and never quite washes out. Tom Harper stood under a flickering fluorescent light, his hands buried in the guts of a Toyota SUV. A socket wrench clinked against the concrete floor, the only sound besides the faint hum of a summer afternoon creeping through the open garage door. At 55, Tom was a man of routine. Same flannel shirt, same faded jeans, same thermos of black coffee on the workbench. Day in, day out, he fixed cars. Modern ones mostly. Computers on wheels, all sensors and screens, nothing like the machines he grew up with. He tightened a bolt, wiped sweat from his brow, and glanced at the radio on the shelf. It was playing Sweet Home Alabama, Lynyrd Skynyrd's twang, cutting through the air. The song hit him like a jab to the chest, stirring something he'd buried long ago. He reached over and switched it off. Silence was better. The crunch of gravel outside snapped him out of his thoughts. A tow truck backed into the lot, hauling something that made Tom's heart skip. It was a Ford Mustang Mach 1, 1973 model. Faded red paint, chipped and peeling, chrome dull but proud. The driver, a wiry guy named Hank, who dealt in classic cars, hopped out and tossed Tom the keys. "Got a buyer lined up for this one," Hank said, voice rough as sandpaper. "Needs to be showroom ready for the Detroit Auto Show in 2 months. You in?" Tom circled the car, his boots scuffing the concrete. The curve of the fender, the low growl of the exhaust, when Hank fired it up, it was like seeing an old friend, or a ghost. His fingers grazed the door handle, and for a split second, he was 20 again, tearing down a Michigan back road with the wind in his hair and Clara in the passenger seat, her laugh louder than the engine. "Yeah," he said, voice quieter than he meant. "I'm in." That night, Tom couldn't sleep. Ellen, his wife, lay beside him, her breathing soft and steady. He stared at the ceiling, the Mustang's image burned into his mind. It wasn't just any car. It was his car. Not literally, but close enough. Back in '88, he'd had one just like it. Candy apple red V8, roaring like a caged beast. He and Clara would drive for hours, no destination, just the road and the radio. They'd park by Lake Huron, her head on his shoulder talking about dreams too big for a small town. He'd wanted to race, maybe go pro. She wanted to sing chase stages from Chicago to Nashville. They were young, reckless, and so damn alive. But dreams don't pay bills. Clara left for Tennessee, and Tom stayed trading speed for stability. He married Ellen, built a life, raised a son. A good life. But that Mustang, it cracked open a door he'd thought was locked forever. The next morning, Tom was in the garage before dawn. He popped the hood, the familiar creak of metal like a call to prayer. The engine was a mess, leaking oil, rusted bolts, a carburetor that looked like it had been through a war. But to Tom, it was beautiful. He started simple, drained the old oil, black as tar, and replaced it with fresh. His hands moved like they had a mind of their own, muscle memory from 1,000 jobs. By noon, he was onto the brakes, cursing under his breath as he wrestled with a stuck caliper. Ellen showed up with a turkey sandwich and a thermos of iced tea. "You're late for lunch," she said, setting the food on the workbench. Her brown hair was tied back, and her eyes held that quiet worry she never voiced. Tom glanced up, wiping grease on his jeans. "Just an old car stirring things up," he mumbled. Ellen studied him, her lips pressed tight. "You've got that look again, Tom. The one that means you're halfway gone already." He didn't answer, just took a bite of the sandwich. She left without another word, the door creaking shut behind her. Days turned into weeks, and the Mustang became Tom's world. He worked late, the garage lit by a single bulb tools, clanking in a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat. He sanded rust off the frame, polished the chrome until it gleamed, and rebuilt the carburetor from scratch. Every bolt he tightened brought back a memory. The night he and Clara raced a Camaro on Route 12, her cheering as they pulled ahead. The time they got stuck in a ditch, laughing so hard they forgot to be mad. The way her perfume, sweet like honeysuckle, clung to the seats. He hadn't thought of her in years, not really. Life had a way of burying things. Kids a mortgage, the slow grind of time. But now, with every turn of the wrench, he felt it again. That spark, that hunger to be more than just Tom Harper, small-town mechanic. One afternoon, a skinny kid with messy hair and grease-stained sneakers showed up at the garage. Billy Carter, 16, all elbows and eagerness. "Mr. Harper, I've seen you work," he said, shifting from foot to foot. "I want to learn. Can I help?" Tom frowned. He didn't have time for kids, not with the Mustang deadline looming. "I work alone," he said. Billy's face fell, but he came back the next day. And the day after. Finally, Tom tossed him a rag. "Wipe down the fenders. Don't scratch anything." Billy grinned like he'd won the lottery, and Tom felt something loosen in his chest. Maybe it wasn't just about the car anymore. Ellen wasn't thrilled. She cornered him one evening as he washed up in the kitchen sink. "You missed Ryan's call last night," she said, her voice sharp but tired. "And you forgot the barbecue at the Millers. What's going on, Tom?" He dried his hands, avoiding her eyes. "It's just a job, Ellen. Pays the bills." She crossed her arms. "It's not just a job. You're living in that garage, same as you did when we were dating. Back when you'd rather sleep under a hood than talk to me." Her words stung because they were true. Back then, he'd been a hothead chasing speed, and dreams leaving Ellen to pick up the pieces. He'd changed for her, for their son. But the Mustang was pulling him back, and he didn't know how to stop it. Ryan showed up a week later, unannounced. Tom was under the Mustang wrestling with a fuel line when his son's voice cut through the clank of tools. "Hey, Dad, nice ride." Ryan was 27, tall, with Ellen's blonde hair and a tech job in Detroit. He looked out of place in the garage, his polo shirt too clean for the oil-stained concrete. Tom slid out surprised. "Didn't know you were coming." Ryan shrugged hands in his pockets. "Figured I'd see what's got you so obsessed." Tom grunted, wiping his hands. "Just a car." Ryan crouched beside the Mustang, running a finger along the fender. "She's a beauty, Dad. Didn't know you still had it in you." Something in Tom softened. He hadn't heard that kind of respect in his son's voice in years. They worked together that afternoon, Ryan passing tools and asking questions. Tom found himself talking, really talking, for the first time in ages. Told Ryan about the old days racing with Clara, the rush of a V8 at full throttle. "Thought I'd go pro," he said, tightening a spark plug. "Had a shot, too. Couple scouts came to the track once." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "What happened?" Tom paused. The memory heavy. "Clara left. Said she needed to chase her own dreams. And I met your mom. Chose a different road." Ryan nodded, thoughtful. "Sounds like you gave up a lot." Tom looked at him surprised. "Never thought of it that way. Just did what I had to." Ryan smiled, small but real. "Maybe you didn't give it up. Maybe it's still in there." That night, Tom took the Mustang for a test drive. The engine roared to life, a deep, throaty growl that shook the garage. He eased onto the old Route 12 windows down the summer air, thick with the scent of pine and asphalt. The road stretched out empty, except for the stars above. He pushed the gas, the car responding like a living thing. For a moment, he was back in '88, Clara beside him, her hair whipping in the wind, singing off-key to Born to Run. They'd parked by the lake that night, his heart pounding as he tried to tell her he loved her. She'd laughed, kissed him, and said, You're better at driving than talking, Tommy." The memory hit so hard he pulled over hands, trembling on the wheel. Clara was gone, married to some guy in Nashville last he heard. But the ache she left, it was still there, sharp as ever. Back home, Ellen was waiting. She stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, her face a mix of worry and anger. "You didn't call," she said. "I waited up." Tom rubbed his neck, guilt settling in. "Got caught up. The test drive." She cut him off. "It's not the car, Tom. It's you. You're chasing something, and I'm scared it's not us anymore." Her voice broke, and Tom felt like he'd been punched. Ellen had always been his anchor, the one who kept him grounded when he wanted to fly. He stepped closer, taking her hands. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. "This car, it's just waking something up. Something I forgot I could feel." She looked at him, eyes searching. "Then make room for us in it, Tom. Don't leave me behind again." He pulled her close, her warmth steadying him. "I won't," he promised. The weeks flew by. Tom and Billy worked side by side, the kids soaking up every lesson like a sponge. Sand this. Torque that. Check the timing. Billy's questions were endless, but Tom didn't mind. He saw himself in the kid, hungry, a little lost, chasing something bigger than himself. The Mustang was coming together, its red paint gleaming under fresh wax, the interior reupholstered in black leather. Tom caught himself smiling more, the ache in his bones, feeling less like age and more like proof he was alive. Ryan dropped by again, bringing a six-pack and stories about his tech job. The three of them worked late, trading laughs and tools. The garage filled with a warmth Tom hadn't felt in years. The night before the Detroit show, Tom finished the Mustang. He stood back, hands on his hips, as Billy let out a low whistle. "Damn, Mr. Harper. She's perfect." Tom nodded, pride swelling in his chest. Not just a car anymore, but a piece of him. He drove it to Detroit the next day, Ellen and Ryan in tow. The show was a circus of chrome and muscle classic cars, lined up like trophies. The Mustang turned heads collectors, snapping photos, Hank grinning like he'd hit the jackpot. "You outdid yourself, Harper," he said, clapping Tom on the shoulder. "Got a spot in the club if you want it." Tom glanced at Ellen, her smile small but real. "Maybe," he said. "We'll see." Back in the garage, the calls started coming. A 69 Camaro, a 65 T-Bird, a 72 Charger. Word had spread, and Tom's quiet life wasn't so quiet anymore. But it was a good kind of noise. One afternoon, a farmer named Joe rolled in with a beat-up Chevy pickup, rusted to hell and barely running. "Belonged to my dad," Joe said, scuffing his boot on the concrete. "Used it till the day he died. Can't stand seeing it rot." Tom saw the same flicker in Joe's eyes that he'd felt with the Mustang, a yearning for something lost. "I'll take care of it," he said. The pickup was a beast of a job. Rust ate through the frame, and the engine was more dust than metal. But Tom and Billy tackled it together, the kid learning to weld, to rebuild, to listen to a machine's heartbeat. Tom found himself talking more not just about torque and timing, but about life. Told Billy about his dad who'd taught him to turn a wrench. About Clara, the girl who'd burned bright and left fast. About Ellen, the woman who'd stayed. Billy listened, his eyes wide, like Tom was handing him the keys to something bigger than a truck. The day the pickup roared back to life, Joe stood speechless, his hand on the fender. Just like he left it, he whispered, tears in his eyes. Tom felt a lump in his throat, watching the farmer drive off, the truck's rumble fading into the dusk. The hollow he'd felt after the Mustang was gone. This wasn't just about fixing cars. It was about keeping stories alive, about giving people back a piece of themselves. That evening, Tom didn't head straight to the garage after dinner. He sat on the porch with Ellen, her hand in his, the air sweet with the scent of her garden. "You did good with that truck," she said, her voice soft. Tom squeezed her hand. "Did good with you too." She laughed, and for the first time in years, he felt whole. The garage was still there, its pull as strong as ever. Customers came with their cars, their stories, their ghosts. Billy was there most days, learning the trade, his grin a mirror of Tom's younger self. Ryan visited more, dragging Tom to a Tigers game in the city, the two of them arguing about stats and sipping overpriced beer. One afternoon, Tom stood in the garage, watching Billy polish the pickup's chrome. The radio was on Freebird, playing low, and this time Tom let it run. The song filled the air, carrying him back to those nights with Clara, but also forward to Ellen's laugh. Ryan's pride, Billy's future. He wasn't the kid who'd raced down Route 12, chasing dreams too big for a small town. He wasn't just the mechanic, grinding through days either. He was Tom Harper, a man who'd found his road back, not to the past, but to a life that fit like a perfectly tuned engine. Hey folks, that's the story of Tom Harper and his road back. If it hit you in the feels, let us know with a single word in the comments. What's your favorite classic car memory? And while you're at it, check out our other stories. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.